Hello, witches. Welcome back to our Aries season, part two. It's been a season. Um, I feel like we were just discussing before we started recording how, we record these episodes and we don't always listen to them again. Um, but we know all this stuff has happened in the world, and it'll just be really interesting to live through this Aries season as such a transformative, pivotal moment. So I just hope everyone is faring well out there. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please feel free to leave a comment on our episodes or a question. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget that we have a Patreon. So if you want to connect further with this community, you can join us at our Coven Circles. We have one coming up on April 23rd. So if you want to join us to kind of prepare for Beltane, Floralia, and the abundance of High Spring, please join us. Thank you, Mariana and Karima, for being here today.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you,
Bye.
Casey. Oh, so happy to be here with you during
Yes.
this crazy, crazy Aries season.
Yes, I know. And the first transit we were going to discuss here um, is on April 3rd.
Mhm.
Mercury conjunct the North Node in Pisces at 27 degrees. And we know that Mariana wants to talk about this one.
Yes. Honest, because and gotta make a note that just Venus just passed that North Node as well. So they're like kind of, I'm gonna like put them all together. They're within degree, all of them, but we're primarily talking about Mercury North Node, but Venus is also has it influence there. But I just want to
Can
speak.
you can you just say, like, before you dive in, can you just share a little bit about what the North Node?
Yeah, I was just going, yeah, you're like read my
Okay, yeah.
read my
Okay.
mind. Yeah, the North Node is the point of expansion. It does have that Jupiterian quality to it. It kind of inflates. It's energy that inflates. It's an energy that enlarges. When it passes over any planets or points, it makes those planets or points more prominent. It draws attention there. It's kind of like it expands, it also puts the light on something. Sometimes it's an overindulgence. It's like on North Node transits, some expansionist, like from the land grabs happen, expansionist movements happen. It's sort of like it's not necessarily negative or positive that like North Node energy, it just has this capacity to pull us. And I always say when people, for example, if you have nodes touching upon your personal points or you have node of return, there's not much you can do. It's something that is being done to you. It's something North Node is like you can prepare, you can be aware, not be like shocked into something on, but the North Node is very much a like it's I don't really like the word destined or destiny. Like it kind of sits funny with me. Not like I don't believe in that, but it's just I have a weird energy around it. But the the North Node, what you can control here is the perception of what being brought to you, what being expanded as negative or positive, how you translate it, how you interpret it. And when the node conjuncts Mercury in Pisces, where Mercury is often disoriented in the infinity of choices, and because Mercury is about choice, there's like many choices. And with North Node there are even more choices. There are more channels of information. There's more channels of not correct information. So it's a bombardment of information that's happening here. And Venus is there. So I just want to, and the ruler of that conjunction is in Gemini. So it's very tricky. Like there's something can be brought to this, or some information can be brought to the surface that I would not jump on immediately. Just tempered approach, just high practice and high Jupiterian approach to this conjunction because they're happening in Jupiter rule sign. Because North Node, yeah, I don't know if you guys want to add anything, but for me, this North Node with Neptune, with Mercury in Pisces is very much about expansion of some kind of idea or ideology that can be faulty at its core.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of the you just said. And because North Node has this quality, like where the North Node is where we're being hungry. Like we have a hunger, like it's like that we need to satisfy. And so that make us very blind of many different things that can trick us. And when it conjunct the North Node like you don't have all the facts yet. You can think of like different option, a different possibility, but you don't have all the facts. And so with North Node in Pisces, when it conjunct Mercury like this, it can make us sure about something, and make us like assertive and say that's like this and nothing else, which is just can be wrong. You can be right, yes, but usually we're wrong. We don't see the whole picture yet because the nodes push. We're so hungry for that answer, for that thought that we just go without even thinking it, right? So yes.
Yeah.
Think of, yeah, just like how quickly the current administration has put out all these executive orders and the amount of news they're sort of creating to make our heads spin at this moment. Um, I think there's something really important about the way that we are attuning to information right now. And our hunger for something that feels like certain or real or true is going to be super, I mean, it's pretty amped up at the moment. So it feels important to kind of be a little bit more fluid with the way that we are digesting information and the way that we're allowing it to like land inside of us, you know? Easier said than done, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's too many things in Pisces, right? That
yeah,
can
it's a
trigger.
distraction technique. I
It
gotta say,
is.
like, the
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah.
information that they're flooding us with is a distraction technique that's designed to unsettle us, to keep us feeling ungrounded, to make us feel
100%.
dizzy, right? So,
Yeah.
um, it's important to stay informed and tapped into the needs of your local community right now, probably more than what's going on at a global scale, because that is just too much to hold for a singular person. So find the ways that you can be grounded and effective in the way that you're like attuning to the needs of the moment, I guess.
Yeah. They're drawing our psyche. They're like drowning our psyche. They're trying, like you said, this is a distraction. Intention, like it's an intentional, but it's aligned always with astrological just perfectly. So our subconscious can just get on the overdrive. Mercury with North Node in Pisces, it's a subconscious on the overdrive. And Mercury is retrograde. So like, and Venus is there is retrograde. And it's sort of like we like grappling for something concrete. Concrete is not, it's not going to come by right now. And during those transits, there's no concrete. It's a preservation of internal, emotional, psychic sanity. That is the goal.
Stay grounded.
Yeah.
As best you can, truly. Prioritize that over or in your self-care practices.
Yeah. And can I say one more thing with that
Yeah.
thing? Saturn is there too. So it acts like there are a couple of things. It can kind of hold that a little bit, but also it can hold it a little bit within the fear container. So being mindful, containers, there's different kinds of containers within which things can be held. So just being mindful within which container you're holding yourself within a container of fear or within a container of hope, within a container of patience and discipline and structure. So you have kind of an agency here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to note that Mercury is retrograde here and it's like slowing down too. So, um, yeah, just with this Mercury retrograde, it could be just important to really question what is urgently needs to be done and what can wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So the next transit that we did want to highlight excitingly is on April 7th when Mercury does station direct at
It feels
26
good.
degrees of
It
Pisces.
feels
Yeah.
good because like
Mm-hmm.
what you mentioned, both of you, with Mercury conjuncting North Node before that. It's April 3rd, and then on April 7th, Mercury station direct. There's couples of days that like are like uncertain still, and I feel even if station direct doesn't make everything clear, it still helps to pull focus a little bit. And so that's why we'll say like making harsh decision is not the smart move during around April 3rd, waiting that April 7th, it's stationing, plus that we have kind of in the same day this Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces at 25 degree 2. So we have two kind of important shifts that are happening in the skies in the sign of Pisces, and Saturn help us also to have clarity. So there is something around April 7th that help us to kind of navigate all this overflow of information or those ideas that we might have around April 3rd during that conjunction with the North Node, that all we thought that we were right and things change and there's new flow of information that coming in. That around April 7th, there's already a little bit of a, I won't say a lot because it's still stationary, it's still very slow, but it's like still like a little bit, we're clearing up a little bit of those information and we're seeing a little bit more clear. And this Venus conjunction with Saturn is a story that happened already. It's the second conjunction. A third's gonna happen. So we're in the middle of that story yet, and we're not finished
Yeah.
with it.
It's what
Um, mhm,
absolutely. You gotta remember, like what Karima said. The thing is, with from when was that? April 3rd,
mhm,
Mercury the North Node, all the way to um, April 12th, 13th,
mhm, mhm,
Mercury will be still within the 1 degree orb of the North Node.
mhm,
Venus will be within 1 degree of Saturn. This is the days that we're mentioning, like April 3rd, April. It's nonstop.
mhm,
The conjunction holds from April 3rd, like this, especially Mercury North Node, and Saturn is nearby. And from April 7th, when Saturn conjunct Venus, it holds all the way until Venus goes direct on April 12th. So just be mindful this first 2 weeks of April, we have very slowly moving inner planets in Pisces, forming very important conjunctions. There's like a stellium, sort of like a stationary stellium in Pisces that is very much about like, can you hold the internal pressure? Can you hold the waters? What do you need to do constructively to hold this like tsunami of information, tsunami of things not to be swept off? It's very much about like the like inner perseverance here.
And just to talk about also more, like we're talking about information because we're talking about Mercury, of course, but also don't forget the area of the houses that Pisces in your chart, because it does it happen in your house? Does it happen in with your neighbor, with your communication, how you communicate in your third house?
Mm-hmm.
Does it happen with your relationship in the seventh? Does it happen in your career, how you see yourself, your public image in the 10th? So having what we're talking about, make sure to also implement it in the house that this your Pisces, because Pisces and Aries, but right now we're talking about the Pisces, is very important right now. And so making sure that you also don't feel scattered when we talk about it, information. It can be everything, but for you personally, just make sure to look into the house that he hit.
Mhm.
That will give you way more tools to understand it.
Absolutely. I think it's something that I'm thinking about as I'm listening to you both speak about this period of time is really thinking about the spiritual practices that give me the most grounding. One of which is, pulling cards every day, working with my altars, meditation of various kinds, movement meditation, candle meditation. Find the things that keep you connected to your own central spiritual system, your own knowing. Um, Even when everything is kind of swelling up to the surface and the pressure is rising, we practice our spiritual tools so that we can weather those periods of pressure and intensity. So
Mhm.
do your best, even if it's like a mini version of what you would normally do or what you would hope to be doing. Attempt to do something every day that just is your connection with yourself and your spirit. I think that's really important.
It is 100%. It's been helping me personally since like last few months. We all have different like avenues of doing whatever. Like mine is prayer, pray in Arabic. Like I need that. If I don't do that, I go crazy.
Mhm.
If I miss a day, if I don't do it before bed, I go crazy. So it's like we all have our tools, and you gotta be consistent with Saturn and Pisces with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Sorry, I wanted
is.
to
Oh,
add something about when Mariana said, like, it's Saturn, so consistency is important. And one of the things we say in astrology, especially when we read chart, when there's Saturn transiting a part of a house, is at the end, Saturn gives gift. It give gift. And so don't forget that we're Saturn is transiting in Pisces. It's going to go to Aries. It's going to come back, but is at the end. Is that it already? It's not at the beginning of this transit, and so the gift of doing practice that help you stay grounded. You might not see it right there, but consistency will help you, and then you will receive the gift. And sometimes I feel like Saturn has way bigger gift than Jupiter in those transit all the time. I see at the end of the 2 years and a half that we're in transit, the gift are there. The work is done. The gift is there. It's very interesting to see live in everybody's chart when I talk to clients about this. It's so true. And Saturn it will give you gift of maybe peaceful mind, or like keeping a
Mhm.
straight mind, meaning that with everything chaotic happening around you, you still grounded if you do the work consistently. Like I just feel like it's
mm,
Definitely.
real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we're going to work to stay grounded in the first couple weeks of April. Um, and then we'll have this Libra full moon on the 12th, right before Venus stations direct.
As she does it, and they happen like
Yes.
simultaneously. So the
Amazing.
ruler of the lunation is the most potent as it's in its sign of exaltation, as it's barely moving, not moving, like having the most potent impact on us.
Mm-hmm.
I personally really looking forward to this one, though it's in opposition to Chiron,
Hmm.
this full moon in Libra at 23 degrees. But I like that there is such dignity to the ruler of this lunation. I like that. I do like that it's with Saturn, actually. I do like that it's sort of crystallizing something for us. I think we passed the point of slipping through the cracks. I think every step is going to be from now on for the next few years. We're going to have a reality check, right direction, wrong direction, right direction, wrong direction kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is sort of like very illuminating about any disbalance or imbalance within our relationships, within our place or our involvement in relationships, and how much of us is seen in relationships is going to be coming to the question a lot. How much are we brave enough to show of ourselves in relationships? Which parts of maybe shamed parts within ourselves we hide or we cover up somehow.
And, do our relationships participate in our healing process
Yeah,
or not?
that's a good one.
I just, for the first time, we should mark this in the calendar. I'm the negative one, and Mariana is the positive one. We should mark this. I was like,
I know, I was the same way, Karima. I was like,
and I was like, Mariana, I thought Mariana would be like on it, doing the
But
job. And she loved it. And I think it's because she loved the work of what this lunation is bringing us, also because I think you're talking about also Venus and Pisces having this closeness with Saturn that help us to see it. And I
it's not
totally get
completely,
you.
yes,
It's
it's
not
not,
out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And I was like, of course she would like a good Saturn, Mariana. Of course.
I have Saturn on top of my chart with
Yeah,
midheaven,
of
like
course.
with
Of course.
age.
um,
You
I,
have
I,
to.
I I mean, I do think that that is an opportunity to see clearly, and like the healing part is real. Like, does our relationship help us heal? There's a huge aspect of that, and I think also that the fact that we passed the second conjunction of this Venus Saturn, and that we have one last part to go through it. So we're in the middle of the story. I think that helps us too because it's not hurting like the first time. We are processing that Venus Saturn already. But I still have a hard time because of Chiron. And I think the light that the moon is bringing into our wound can be, I think it depends where you are in your healing journey or where you are in life. Sometimes it can be a big boost of yourself because it's still shining on Aries and the sun is in Aries, and I feel like it can be a big boost to move, mountain kind of like, because Venus and Saturn together, there's a very reality moving, highlighting into the forwardness. But I also feel like depending of where you are, if it's too painful still, if it's still too raw, the wound is too raw still, it can be very challenging to confront it because Venus and Saturn is going to make you confront that wound. And so I think that for me, that they really depend of the story you're in, like in where you're in your story, And yeah, and it's always a hard Aries Libra, always very intense because it's always about the self and the other, and
Mhm.
the story of a world of human history, myself and versus the other. So it's always a very potent time.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up too, just in terms of what is happening in the world and the rise of fascism
Mm-hmm.
and like really this
Mm-hmm.
I want to say like the revelation of white supremacy and how like it's gripping so many people. Like this myth of white
Mm-hmm.
supremacy is so intensely captivating to so many people right now, and that's fear of other, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I feel like when I look at this full moon, I see, can we see like those places in ourselves we need to heal our relationship to other, and like
Mm, mhm.
can people sort of really identify their own pain and suffering,
Yeah.
100%.
you know?
Loss, it's a fear of other, but at the core of that is a fear of loss of one's identity, which
Mm.
other cannot cause.
Oh my God, you
Right.
couldn't put in that. Like oh my God, Mariana, you said the loss of identity. Me, as a French person, I
Mm.
can tell you right there that the fear of, like, I will say, white French people is the fear of the loss of the identity, of the culture, of the self.
Mm.
It's
But it
like,
can't be lost because of the other.
it's just like, it's exactly that. It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But like when you talk about white supremacy, it can be more real than what we're living through now. Like if you doubted before, this is
Right.
just like such a highlight on it now. I
Yeah.
feel like there's confirmation of a lot of things that people have been saying in the past, and still people debating and try to say no, but it's just like no matter you see it, it's
Yeah.
just you see it is in your
The like
face.
shroud has been removed, so to speak.
Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
And
no, yeah. Nobody's even hiding anything
yeah.
anymore.
And it's just like
It's like
very
in the plain
interesting that
sight.
we have someone for South Africa that literally get the
Oh,
benefits of
I can't. That
apartheid,
guy gets me
and
like,
here in America, and telling us that racism is not a thing. And you're like, are you not like the result? Like, don't you like uh come from South Africa? Like seriously? Like, it's just like very mind blowing, and like you cannot deny it, you know? Because some people
no.
were saying, oh, American, we pass through it, all that, racism is not there anymore, whatever bullshit they were saying. And you like have a man literally from South Africa that's saying the same thing, and he's like, it was the history of South Africa is so intense and it's very still fresh
Yeah.
that it's still denied. I just don't know if I make it myself clear, but
No, totally. I mean, it's clear to
it's just
me.
like the real that is never gonna be real enough. Like even if like it happened today, people still gonna deny it. You know what I mean? It's like like if it's crazy to me, and it's just like it's white supremacy. You
Mars in
know?
Cancer also. This
Yeah.
Yeah.
lunation squares Mars in Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So Mars in Cancer proven to be like malefics become more malefics when they're retrograde.
Nice.
There's a
I
like
needed
there's
it.
a so
Mm-hmm.
it really showed us the dark side of Mars in Cancer of
Yeah.
like that ideology that
Yeah. Hmm.
they uphold. It's very, very obvious. Yeah, I think this lunation is going to bring both to our one-on-one personal relationships a lot of clarity about where you think you lose your identity because there are where you're just not afraid to own up to your own
Hmm.
things, and both the same things happening in the collective,
And
right?
and I like it because after like the ruler of this new nation, just the day after, just station direct. It's
Mhm.
like the light, wake up, like and doop, like it's like changing shit. It's very interesting how they come together,
Well, yeah.
on April
Really.
13, at the Venus station direct at 24 degree of Pisces, the day after the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where you are, some places it's going to be late at
Yeah.
12th or 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Depending where you are.
I want to say before we move on from this lunation, like just thinking about like the type of magical activation that you could do at this full moon,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and especially with Venus stationing right after, I'm really thinking about glamour magic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And glamour magic can look a lot of different ways, but at its core, it's really um, the magic of presenting yourself in a certain way to attract something that you want.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's like glamour magic can be putting on your red lipstick when you go out to do something that
Mhm.
you want to
Bold.
be bold in. Yes.
It's
You want
so
Okay.
bravery. So you put on
Yeah.
your lipstick and you put on your big mascara and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm dressed for this
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
experience. So it's like, how can you think about what you're attracting to you with the way that you're sort of presenting yourself to the world?
It's
Mm-hmm.
so you can't. I was thinking about it this morning, Casey, because I have Moon in Libra at 22 degrees, so that right there, that where
Mm-hmm.
that lunation will be happening,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my natural thing. It's not like I'm super concerned with how, but even if internally I'm completely, when I stop taking care of myself externally through that thing, I never like heard about it, glamour magic.
Yeah.
And I've went through periods where I'm like self-abandoned in that regard, and then I had to like pull myself together, and things do start shifting when I do that. It's incredible, but like especially because this is a Venus ruled lunation, like that's why you're probably saying
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Yes.
always it works for me in my throughout my life. Like no matter how chaotic my life, I have to be put together for the world in any
Yes.
situation.
You know
It's
what's funny? Before I really knew what glamour magic was, when I was younger, I would like wear these specific shoes that were like really high-heeled like really high-heeled clogs, and I called them my hard shoes because they were like kind of hard to wear, but they required me to kind of like be with it and on top of things. And
I
so every
love
time I
that.
wore the shoes, it was like I was going to tackle something difficult or like I knew I was gonna like it was gonna be a hard day, so I wear my hard shoes so that I was like kind of forcing myself to stand up tall and walk the walk and just like get through it and do it.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So that's like one
Yeah.
example of glamour
It's it
magic.
the I may be offline like here, but I will say it anyway. But like the you know, becoming a mom, you kind of let yourself go because you
Mhm.
just don't have time. Fair.
Yeah.
I'm totally. And you don't want to dress because you know you're gonna have vomit. Or your kids are gonna it's not gonna happen. You know,
Hmm.
it's out of
Yeah.
the question I'm wearing my good clothes. Like no. And so that's
Hmm.
your phase of mommy's life, which is normal, you know?
Yeah.
But you can feel more like when, because now I'm in that phase so long, way longer than it
Hmm.
used to be before it was a Sunday, a weekend. And then on Monday I was dressing up, and I never call it glamour magic either, but it resonates so true because when you dress up or when you make yourself kind of like you said a bold lipstick or mascara or just a nice haircut, like you set yourself to do something, like it's to conquer or to do or to manifest, or like there's a goal there.
Hmm.
So now, and I just said when I put intention, with it
Yeah,
at the same time as I'm dressing up, it's just you just embody it. It's like very a
totally.
physical thing.
Mhm.
Because it's so tangible. Clothes. It's so like makeup, whatever
Yeah.
we think about
And the colors you
superficiality or
choose to
whatever.
wear,
My moon
like,
in Libra loves this conversation.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
And so it's just like so true. Like we cannot deny, even if we can call it superficial, whatever
It's
it is.
not.
It's
No, it's
like
like
no,
it's
no.
self-expression.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because this is up into different conversation that people say, oh yeah, but it's so like superficial, it doesn't matter. No, actually it does
It
matter.
does
It does
matter.
matter for your self-esteem, for yourself. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it can just bring you so much confidence into the
Hmm.
action you're about to take. And
Yeah.
so I never came across glamour magic. I came across
Oh,
pleasure magic. I came across like a very like different type of
so
glamour
good.
magic. Funny enough, I never really, maybe I read it once and didn't think about it, but
Glamour magic
um,
is
it
legit.
is something that I'm gonna dive into it.
Well, this full moon, this
Oh
Libra full
yeah,
moon, hard shoes or bold lipstick or whatever you're doing.
Even
that's
if you can't do anything, I don't know, like, but for me, I don't use perfumes much, but
mhm.
but I'm like, just like, and I haven't honestly for the last almost 2 years. I think I didn't use, and I started using perfume again like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
actually when I moved to San Francisco
It's
back.
so good. The scent.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, just like that little thing makes me feel good
yeah.
about myself.
I know it's a show about astrology, but I need to tell you, so as a French person, that's what's my daily life. I never knew that people were not wearing perfume, you know? Like, and when I came here, my dad offered a bunch of perfume to every member of my husband's family. And they were they not do and my dad didn't understand why nobody was like,
What?
wow, what? Like offering perfume is kind of normal.
In
Like
Oh, I
it's in
love
Europe.
that.
In Europe,
that
it's also no. It's in Russia. It's also normal. It's
it's
like
normal. It's
yeah.
like everybody wear perfume. Everybody. It's like very rare that I met someone that said, I never wear perfume.
In Arab countries, it's very common. It's
It's
the whole
very
culture.
common. And it's
Yeah.
like very in the United States, like maybe they're right. Maybe you can feel like your own.
Venus wants us to smell good
Exactly. And he was like, you
on
can
this
be
station,
slow.
Essential
especially.
oils. It doesn't have to be perfume. Essential oils, whatever works for
You
you.
know,
Yeah.
whatever works, like can be very natural floral essence that is good, sense that is very good to you. But I
Should
feel
we
like
start
it's
a beauty
very
podcast?
Well, I do have to say, I can't remember what number episode it is, but we do have an amazing interview with Mauricio about
We
their
love
perfume.
Mauricio. Mauricio, if you're hearing this, we love you.
Yeah, just shout out. We can link that maybe in our show
I can,
notes.
yeah, we
It's a
definitely
great
can.
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
about scent and magic. So
It's
Mhm.
so good.
yeah.
So yeah, sorry. That was the little that's your fault, Casey. Glamour
I know it
magic, you
is.
went out there. That was gone. We're
But I
gone
think
into it.
Venus was speaking through us because
Yeah.
I mean this Venus station,
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Come on.
yeah, we need it. I
Yeah.
feel like it's good, not all of us practice like maybe embodied astrology or astrological magic, but when we're thinking about these archetypes and their journeys, like bring them into your world and think about on the Venus
Yeah.
station, like, okay, think about everything that's kind of come up for you while Venus has been retrograde, and think about how you want to initiate this next stage of the cycle and maybe put some perfume on. I don't know, or anoint a Venus statue or make some offerings.
Yeah.
Do something Venus related.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is such an Venus retrograde, the Venus going direct in Pisces, as we just had the full moon in Venus ruled sign. I just feel like there is an opportunity for us to start putting ourselves within our physical body, our value systems, our relationship to finances, all sorts of Venusian things in order again. Or maybe another thing can happen because this is like after the full moon and Venus is very, very slow. We will be like with the clarity kind of surrendering and letting go of some Venusian attitudes that we realized during the retrograde that are just not serving us. And maybe relationship with all those things that I mentioned, relationships, finances, negotiations, I don't know, whatever houses Venus rules in your chart, that would be the theme where maybe you will have to kind of slowly start leaving things behind. Especially Mars square is there after the lunation. That's why something's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, also on this the 13th we have that Mars Mercury trine here.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, feels like there's an element of conviction, I don't know, to this station with Venus as well. It's like, okay, we're making some decisions, we're moving forward.
Yeah. It's and it's like sort of like an emotional intuitive clarity on how to move ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Coming to terms with something that has been left behind also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the next transit we should be talking about? Let's see.
The next transit
Yeah, on April 16th, we have Mercury ingress into Aries and conjunct Neptune freshly in Aries.
It's a lot of, I feel there's the last days of Aries season is very amplifying the fire
Mm.
of, yeah, when you see Mercury ingresses into Aries that conjunct Neptune just freshly new in the sign of Aries. And then we're going to talk about it, but I want to mention it. On the next day, Mars re-entering Leo, fire sign too, is just reminding me of this beginning of when we started spring equinox. The moon was in Sagittarius, a fire sign. There's like, I think this resonance in Aries season that there's a lot of fire being used right now.
Mm.
And it might be good, but it might burn yourself too much at the beginning. It may be too intense. I feel like Mercury reingresses and conjuncting Neptune can be kind of a little bit too bold, too intense. But it's also a good one for putting clarity in our dream, putting
Mm.
clarity in our wish, in our goal, in our like also ideology or our belief. There's a nice clarity that we can take on that aspect.
Yeah.
And that is very bold and courageous and kind of initiated because it's in the sign of Aries. So,
And Mars is the critical energetic degree of Cancer, the ruler of that
mm-hmm,
conjunction.
mm-hmm.
That
So there is
conjunction.
that shift at the last, that
And
is like a
yeah,
little last push of like Aries, like I'm still there. I know it's my last day, but I'm still there before Taurus season,
yeah, definitely. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's so, and it's at that spring equinox point, that Neptune Mercury conjunction. I always like to give heads up to whoever I'm talking to with Neptune and Mercury, especially because we know the nature of Mercury can be tricky. And Neptune definitely. Don't mislead intentionally or unintentionally, and don't be misled intentionally or unintentionally,
Mm-hmm.
because like being misled by someone is not always out of maliciousness of someone. It can be. There are a lot of different um, varieties of that, but just
But
being
it can be
careful.
careless.
Careless with
Yes.
no, don't be, especially in Aries, don't be careless with words. Don't promise
Oh,
something that you
yeah.
can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, like, the wishful thinking here, the dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just
Mm-hmm.
just as a little reminder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there's a fear with not a fear, but there's a possibility with Mercury conjunct Neptune to let our word being carried without even acknowledging in our mind. Like it's just Neptune will like carry out our
Yeah, that's what I
words
mean. Unintentional misleading.
internationally, like and just like think that, oh, the other person will figure it out or understand what I'm saying,
Mhm.
And that was quiproquo can be made, like
Hmm.
this without even understanding at the time, but later. So is there's that danger with that conjunction for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's really important. I
But I'm
think
very excited about the Mars and Leo. Very
yes,
excited.
just the next
Yeah.
day.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
This is
Oops.
this is a I think we have all been waiting for that thing.
So
Everybody,
much.
everyone. Yeah, it is very exciting. It's like I feel like it feels like a burst of energy coming back in the body. That this retrograde was like looks like it's been forever. So
Yeah. I feel like there's, with all the transits we've been talking about in this, in April,
mm-hmm,
essentially, there's like all this frustration that can potentially be brewing.
mm-hmm,
Um,
Mhm.
and I do see with this like Neptune Mercury conjunction and with Mars moving into Leo, like we could move kind of quickly in a direction. Um, that might not be the right direction. So I think it's just like kind of important to temper yourself a little bit, or, you know, be finding ways to not only ground, as we've been talking about, but also like work out the frustration that has been building. So that's something just to be thinking about.
Yeah, definitely. Mars is trine in Neptune, so this is a good news, kind of. It's still Mars, it's still Neptune, but
Still
we're
Mars,
like,
still Neptune.
but there is a trine, and there can be hasteness in the negative, you guys said. But overall, I think this is kind of an inspired opportunity for selfhood to be manifested. It's very much, do not try to go to others with, this is if you go and try to convince someone of something, or this is not for that. This is you and you like figure out things in your life creatively and with the spirit, with the fire spirit.
Yeah, I
Very
think
imaginative too.
totally. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
No, you just made me think about being in a creative process where a creative process, or even just like a process with other people. And sometimes we are default too much to this like Neptunian urge to like merge with the other, or please the other person, or be a martyr for some other reason. But I would say now is a good time to like actually be selfish, especially because it's a trine here. It's like, be selfish, acknowledge what you need in the moment, and root into that, and see what happens when you move forward from that place.
Yeah.
Especially with those signs, Aries, Leo.
Yeah.
Those are very individual self-expression, your self house, I mean sign. So being selfish, I think, on that level. And also
it's
agree
moving
with
out of
you.
Cancer.
Yeah. I've been too compassionate to
Yeah.
But,
just be mindful that we're gonna talk about it in the next season, but in Taurus season, we'll have the last Mars Pluto opposition. So it starts heading towards that Pluto opposition. So that is one thing to keep in mind. And the other, just going back to the events of the beginning of November, when Mars was at 0 degrees of Leo, which is like around November 4th, then around January 6th, when Mars was like last time at 0 degrees of Leo. And this is, all those events are like somehow connected. We kind of know how.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious. November 3rd, January 6th.
Yes, so just be mindful. There is a potential inflation of an ego with Mars and Leo, the kin-like figures. Deception, like Neptune. I like, just not allow, do not be deceived. Be very, very, but if you connect to your own spiritual center, your spiritual core, when other people are not your spiritual core, there are no kings, none of that shit. Like, you're not going to be swayed. Do not be swayed.
But it just recircles to what you both said also at the beginning of talking about this transit, not act rushly at the beginning of Mars re-entering Leo, and just take time to feel that transit first, including we have this last opposition. So I feel like having first is like a resettle time, because it was so long in quiescence. It's needed, you know. I think that's just, with everything you mentioned, it's just bring more truth.
Our new year begins at the end of April.
Woo!
That's what I was. Did you remember when we said that in November? Like, actually, end of April.
The real movement, like speaking about timing, is end of April.
Oh, yeah.
Taurus season.
Taurus. I love Taurus. A good Taurus season. A good. I hope I didn't look at all the transit yet, but I always love when the sun enters Taurus. So
we have something to look forward to.
Definitely.
All right, guys. This was handful. Well, I'm
But
excited. Kind of like I went into this podcast a little bit like apprehensive,
yeah,
but I'm like, if everything's for a reason.
I feel
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like back before that, like a year or two ago, like we were like, oh, this month is good, this month is bad, this month is great, this month is this. Now it's just like,
Here we
like,
are.
like
Yeah,
here we are, guys. Like,
Mhm.
it's like this is what it is, and we're gonna work for it. Yeah,
definitely, definitely.
yeah.
I do think like doing this podcast and being able to walk through these transits with you both and our listeners, there is a sense of opening up some opportunity of like, okay, what can I do
Mhm,
to actually work with these energies rather than feeling like the tidal wave is like crashing over me, right?
mhm, mhm.
And I do hope that sort of translates for folks. But now my to-do list just got a little bit longer of like, oh, I need to do some shit. These
Yeah,
retrograde seasons before all this
yeah.
happens. So yeah, perspective is good. Thank you,
Mhm.
Oh,
astrology. Thank you
Thank
both for
you.
being
thank
here.
you both.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's very nice to be here with you.
And thank you to our listeners.
Yeah.
Bless, blessed be.
Blessed be.
Thank you for tuning in to the Modern Witches podcast. We hope you've been inspired to cultivate your own magic and to craft your own spiritual practices. Let us know what sparked your curiosity by leaving us a comment on this episode or leave us a review. And don't forget to subscribe to the show so that you never miss an episode. Your feedback and engagement truly fills our cups. If you're looking for more ways to gather with your fellow witches, please support our work on Patreon. Learn more at modernwitches.org. Blessed be.